Book Bitches, a Book Club is a podcast mostly between two best friends, Dailey Holmes and Wellington Tremaine, talking about the book they both read that month. July 2026's was The Heart is a Lonely Hunter by Carson McCullers. Welcome to the South and welcome to the podcast. Okay. So, we're back with Book Bitches, right?
Yeah, we need intro music. Maybe something like this. Book bitches.
We could record something like that later. That would be really funny, actually. I think that would be so funny. It's like reading Rainbow.
Yeah. So we need an opening jingle akin to that.
Yeah.
I think we deserve it.
I think that sounds like a great idea. So I didn't finish, obviously, but I got to like some pretty integral parts of this book. This is Carson McCullers' The Heart is a Lonely Hunter. I got to page 377, so I was almost done.
Here, let me look at that. I got my copy right here. You almost finished it. You could have just pushed through.
Well, it's because I had I didn't wake up until 4 today.
My edition is different. My editions are different. My edition doesn't go that far.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah. That's why I didn't reread it. I read it twice last year, and I have been reading the biography of her, and I haven't finished the biography, but I have gotten past the point where she wrote this book. I mean, she wrote this book when she was 22.
Yeah, it was published when she was 23. I looked at the Wikipedia.
It brought her immediate success that, like, later in life she reflected she was not ready for, and had a dramatic effect on her life.
Yeah, that checks out. She seems like, because wasn't she an alcoholic?
Yes, and her family, and like, her whole family are alcoholics, and like, she had like a surgery done when she was like 16 or 17, and she had to like go on a long trip to get the surgery. No, it wasn't a surgery. She went to see Rachmaninoff, the composer.
Oh, yeah?
So she was really into music. She was going to be a composer, and then she pivoted.
Yeah, I think I'm glad she pivoted, because there was this one, like, section. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. It's near where I stopped reading. Yeah. The South is fascist now and always has been section. Do you remember that? Where they're where it's between Copeland and Blunt, and they're talking, and they get into a big old fight.
Huge argument. Yeah, they have a huge argument on how to handle that.
But like, it was so impactful. I posted it to Twitter because I was like, this is crazy. She was like way ahead of her time.
Yeah, so she was like, her mom basically ran a salon, like in the classical sense of what a salon is, for the weirdos of Columbus, Georgia, where she grew up. So she was surrounded by these oddballs and outcasts. And interesting, and I'm going to get into this more later, but like, Carson was able to be how she was because basically her mom decided from a young age that Carson was special and was like devoted to her to an extent that some people thought was inappropriate.
What do you mean by that?
I don't know. That was just what it was said. Like, she, like, how to explain it? Like, it was more of like, she had all the attention, like, but her siblings apparently weren't jealous of this attention. Like, so it was decided that, like, whatever Carson was going to do, she was made for greatness, regardless if it was going to be her being a composer or her being a writer. Those always seemed, but she also dabbled a little bit in visual arts, like, at least when she was young. But, like, so she was around all these people. Throughout her life, she primarily befriended gay men. and her first exposure to Marx was through a gay man, a closeted gay man at the military base in Columbus.
Yeah, I love how much this book talks about Marx. It's nuts. Like, I did not expect that.
So, when you first started reading it, you sent me a text and you asked me, is she racist? And I'm like, I don't know.
Well, the reason I asked that is because I got to I can't remember, I didn't write it down where the line was, but basically she says that, like, one of the, I think it's Portia, she says basically, like, that the word Negro is worse than the N-word. And I was like, what is happening right now? This is crazy. I started cracking up because I was like, what? What do you mean? Like,
I remember when I first came across that bit, I was wondering the same thing. It's like, because, like, my copy is the Oprah Book Club copy. So,
oh, hell yeah. No, I did. On the Wikipedia, I was like, what? Oprah Winfrey read this in her book club? We're following in her footsteps. That's what we're doing.
So, but after reading her, so I think there's a nuanced answer to this. Because, and I've had the same questions about Faulkner also, and a lot of Southern writers of the time with the language they use, and like, yes, we as a modern audience, there's a certain separation, but there's also a certain amount of responsibility. She was definitely anti-white supremacist.
Yeah, like, I do get that.
Was she a perfect ally? Probably not. She was still, like, a middle-class white person from the South. And so she probably still had, like, but she goes on to, like, she was friends with Langston Hughes.
Yeah, she was friends with some really prominent people.
Yeah, like, tons of prominent people. But, like, so, like, what I think she wasn't racist, but she probably still had racist tendencies, as all white people do, especially back then.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because I was like, some of the conversations between, but I did like, because, like, the more I got into the book, it kind of, my questions about her being racist kind of fell away, because she actually spends ample time, like, talking about, like, black people and, like, their experience and stuff. But, like, I did think that she could have done more. So, like, probably, like, she was limited in knowledge on it.
This was published when she was 23, so, like, a little bit of grace, I think, is warranted. A little bit of nuanced grace.
Right. Because you have a crush on her.
I kind of fucking do. I would have been infatuated with her if I met her, like, if I was back then. I would have been, like, just absolutely obsessed with her. And that's a theme in her life, is that she either finds people that just can't fucking stand her, that she wants to like her, or, like, she just, like, it hints at it, but apparently, like, in her later age, she was just kind of surrounded by enablers, is what the biographer says, but I haven't gotten to that part yet, so I don't know exactly what she's talking about. But like I said, I've read the whole part of all her early life up to a point, and there's, like, a lot of points in her life the early life that you definitely see in this first book she wrote. Like, there's, like, it is semi-autobiographical. Like, she is supposed to be, what's the lead girl's name?
Mick? I was just thinking of that, because when you said that she could have become a composer, I was like, Mick is basically, that's just Mick, because she has music playing in her head all the time. And, you know, she also, I also thought it was interesting that she had, like a tendency for math, which makes sense for the music and math. But, like, her, like, calculating, like, decimals in her head, like, so, like, when she's not thinking about music, she's thinking about numbers, which is so interesting to me.
I mean, I'm paraphrasing smarter people than me, but all music is an art of vibrations and numbers.
Yeah.
Just combining time and vibration.
Yeah.
Like, that is what music is. Like, well, I think we've throat cleared enough. Let's hash at it. Between the two halves of our brain, we should come up with a full brain and dissect this book.
Okay. I think you should start with the thing because I didn't get to write very many notes.
Well, between the two of us, even though I did not, like, I meant to freshly read it, I did not get that because I got excited by the biography and I've been reading that, and that was a choice that I made. But I did read it twice last year, and I have my copy in front of me that somebody else notated because I got it in a library.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I have some notes here that I can jump in and be like, yeah, also there's this other thing. So,
okay. So the plot of this book is based off a bunch of oddballs and a small fictional town that's clearly based off Columbus, Georgia. But it does not list it as Columbus, Georgia.
Yeah, it's the 1930s.
Yes, it's like
because because I was trying to figure out the entire time like when this was happening, and I kind of like that it was kind of like a game that I was playing, but Cupid doll was something that I looked up and I was like, oh, okay, so it's happening during this time because that's when Cupid dolls were like popular.
Well, they also talk about Hitler and like Hitler's takeover of Germany, so that puts it around like the 30s, 39-ish. It's really interesting because she published this before World War II broke out, and she's basically talking about Russia. That's
and like Harry being like, I hate Hitler, kind of thing, because he's like reading the newspapers all the time.
Right. Okay. So. But let's start at the top. We're both wandering around because we do. The central character of this book is not Mick. Is a deaf mute named John Singer. And at the first chapter of the book, the first section of the first chapter explains that there in this town there's two mutes. One of the mutes was obese and dreamy Greek. That's an interesting combination. Obese and dreamy. Do they mean like he was like dreamy, not in the modern sense of ooh, what a dreamboat, or dreamy as he was always in a daydream?
I took it as he's always in a daydream because he kind of like he's kind of a bad friend first of all, but like he's also just like kind of like in his own world. It's very autistic of him.
They have a parasocial relationship.
Yeah.
And John Singer is not aware of this. John Singer is portrayed as an intelligent person, but he doesn't have a lot of self-reflection. And this is something that the biographer brings up, is that also Carson McCuller was an intelligent person that recognized things in other people, but lacked a certain amount of self-reflection that was always kind of a hindrance to her.
Right.
So,
but like I will say, let me just say this. I do think it's interesting that even though Singer is basically like the main character because everybody's like kind of obsessed with him, we don't get a lot of stuff from his perspective, which I thought was weird. Interesting, at least.
That's part of what makes this book good. Is because he's a central character in the sense that everybody's obsessing over him, but he's not obsessing over them. And though we get like some backstory, we like learn that he was born up north and he moved down here and stuff. Like he grew up like he was an orphan in Chicago, and then he went down south, which was interesting because during that time period, there like most people who were migrating north, especially Black people during the time.
Right. That makes sense.
This has been the Great Migration period when the Black people were escaping Jim Crow by going to the Great Lakes area.
Yeah.
But that has nothing to do with this story. So, I cannot pronounce the Greek mute's name.
Antonopoulos or something.
Heroes, Antonopoulos.
Let's just go with Antonopoulos.
And he works for his cousin in a fruit store. And then the thin mute, John Singer, His eyes had a quick, intelligent expression. He was always immaculate and very soberly dressed. So I imagine like a guy and like a button down, maybe like a tie.
Yeah, like he's very
But-
prim and proper.
Like everything about him is that he's an intelligent, he's a rather smart person, which smart people that have disabilities like that, like I think that really sets the tone for this, because he's in a position where he understands things, but he can't express himself, and there is like that makes a thing. So the first chapter describes the two, and it basically like it hints heavily that this might be like, it's never outright said if their relationship is sexual. There is one mention of sexuality in this section where it's talking about Antonopoulos, where he loved, for except drinking and a certain solitary secret pleasure, Antonopoulos loved to eat more than anything else in the world. So the certain solitary secret pleasure, that implies that that's masturbating and not a sexual relationship between the two.
Yeah, and
But
they're living together too, so it's like
they do have separate beds, so it does describe that they have separate beds, but like, so I think that though this relationship probably isn't sexual, there is an intimacy and an emotional, at least on Singer's part, an emotional reliance that makes this, at least for Singer, a romantic relationship. It might not necessarily be a romantic relationship for Antonopoulos, but again, like Singer throughout the whole book, what notes most to me is that lack of self-reflection, even though he's an intelligent person.
Yeah, and like I think the amount of time when we do get his sections, the amount of time he spends thinking about Antonopoulos,
it dominates it. It's like, I miss Antonopoulos, I miss Antonopoulos, I miss Antonopoulos. Like,
right. So it's kind of like one of those things that you're like, brother has a crush.
But I think the core thing that, let's see if I can find that section. Okay, I'm going to read a portion. In the dusk, the two mutes walked slowly home together. At home, Singer was always talking to Antonopoulos. His hand shaped the words and a swift series of designs. His face was eager, and his gray eyes sparkled brightly. With his thin, strong hands, he has wizard hands, pianist hands is what I'm imagining, he told Antonopoulos all that had happened during the day. Antonopoulos sat back lazily and looked at Singer. It was seldom that he ever moved his hands to speak at all, and then it was to say that he wanted to eat or sleep or drink. These three things he always said in the same vague, fumbling signs. At night, if he were not too drunk, he would kneel down before his bed and pray. Then his plump hand shaped the words, Holy Jesus, or God, or Darling Mary. These were the only words Antonopoulos ever said. Singer never knew just how much his friend understood all of the things he told him, but it did not matter. So, Antonopoulos probably doesn't really understand what the fuck, like,
Singer's talking.
saying.
Yeah, I did think that, because like I think he's like kind of like I said, I think he has something like a disability of some sort. So I said autistic, but like, you know, like he has issues.
It's something. But it also describes that Antonopoulos works for his cousin, and he makes candy and stuff like that. So like he knows how to do things. Like so. There's like a level, but like in my line of work, I work with several people that have varying levels of intelligence that can't talk, or like can only talk echoically, or only talk in a few weak signs like this. Like I know, like one of my guys, one of my guys knows like several hundred signs, but he can't converse in sign language. He just knows a bunch of nouns in sign language.
Interesting.
But he was taught sign language because he mumbles all his words, so it helps him enunciate what he's trying to communicate.
Right.
It's very interesting. So, like, Antonopoulos isn't completely dumb, but, like, maybe he's just not interested in communication. I don't know. And so, I mean, this first section is interesting, but it sets the tone, but, like, it doesn't really, I don't know how to phrase this. It's like, it's the bones, but not the meat. It goes on that Antonopoulos clearly has some internalized racism because he's described as Greek and he lives in the South. It also says that his cousin took a Western name and he preferred the Greek never got onto the Iraqi move. Okay, then Singer began. Sometimes in the evenings, the mutes would play chess. Singer always greatly enjoyed this game, and years before he had tried to teach it to Antonopoulos. At first, his friend could not be interested in the reasons for moving the various pieces about the board. Then Singer began to keep a bottle of something good under the table to be taken out after each lesson. Like he bribed him with food.
Yeah.
The Greek never got on to the erratic movements of the knights and the sweeping mobility of the queens, but he learned to make a few set opening moves. He preferred the white pieces and would not play the black men were given him. After the first move, Singer worked out the game by himself while his friend looked on drowsily. If Singer made a brilliant attacks on his own men, so that in the end the black king was killed, Antonopoulos was always proud and very pleased. So basically, like, he'd be like playing together, but then he would just literally play by himself while this guy watched. So again, this like seems like what we would call now a parasocial relationship.
Right.
And then it goes on to say, the two mutes had no other friends, and except when they worked, they were alone together. Each day was very much like any other day because they were alone so much that nothing ever disturbed them. And then it describes that they would go to a library and Singer would draw mystery books, so Singer knows how to read and reads regularly. And then every payday, Antonopoulos would go have his picture taken. I thought that was an interesting detail. I mean, but then I got me thinking, I'm like, oh, that was probably like a fun thing to do back in the day. Like, you know, it's like, I'm gonna go get my picture taken every payday. Like that kind of when there's nothing fucking else because it's the night. You're in Great Depression era Georgia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so in the deep south, the two mutes were not lonely at all. At home, they were content to eat and drink and Singer would talk with his hands, including his friend about all those on his mind. So I guess Singer doesn't care, but like on some level, Singer, I guess, vaguely understands that Antonopoulos doesn't really understand what he's saying, but because of the companionship and the shared that they're both deaf mutes, he doesn't mind. Like, okay. So, and then one day, the Greek became ill. He sat up in bed with his hands on his feet, his fat, big stomach, big, oily tears rolled down his cheeks. Singer went down to see his friend's cousin who owned the fruit store and also arranged for leave from his own work. The doctor made out a diet for Antonopoulos and said he could drink no more wine. Singer originally enforced the doctor's orders. All day, he sat by his friend's bed and did what he could do to make the time pass quickly, but Antonopoulos only looked at him angrily from the corner of his eyes and would not be amused. So, like, basically, he's, like, sick, and, like, Singer tries to help him, and, like, just kind of fucking does something to Antonopoulos. And then there's one other thing that I want to read out loud to describe. I think that there was, like she's implying that, like, Antonopoulos has, like, racial envy about not being what would be considered white, because, again, during this time period, Antonopoulos would not be considered a white person. Singer was patient and did all that he could. He drew pictures, and once he made a sketch of his friend to amuse him. This picture hurt the big Greek's feelings, and he refused to be reconciled until Singer had made his face very young and handsome and colored his hair bright yellow and his eyes china blue.
Oh, Nazism.
yeah, like fucking understood some shit. Understood some shit.
Okay. I forgot.
Okay.
I think I forgot that part.
Again, this section, because Antonopoulos pretty much is only in a little bit the rest of the book, but this section really kind of sets up everything thematically, especially going on and how the other characters treat Singer, because Singer's treating Antonopoulos how the other characters eventually treat Singer, and there's somebody said that this book is a fugue.
A fugue? A fugue? What do you mean by that?
Like a musical fugue, like a fugue.
Oh,
it has like the themes that come in and out.
I was thinking like you were gonna say like a fugue state, like I was like, what?
Different things.
Very different. Very different. Okay. Continue.
Okay, so Singer nursed his friend so carefully that after a week, Athanopoulos was able to return to his work. But from that time on, there's a difference in their way of life. Trouble came to the two friends. So basically, Antonopoulos starts fucking pissing in the street, stealing shit, causing fights. He's in and out of the jailhouse all the fucking time. Singer uses his own money to pay bail, and it's clear that Antonopoulos is mentally ill. So his cousin, who's probably sick of this shit, arranges for Antonopoulos, without any of Singer's input, to go be sent to him.
Yeah, because they don't like each other, right? If I remember correctly, they don't like each other.
No, they don't. I think what's hinted is that the cousin kind of has an idea of the nature of how Singer views this relationship, and though he doesn't approve, doesn't really do anything about it because he just writes them both off as freaks.
Yeah.
So Antonopoulos is sent to a mental institution, and Singer's really pissed off about this.
Yeah, he's not happy about it.
It describes loneliness, and he's sent off, and so they were living at this place together, and for a while he's just walking around. Eventually he decides that he has to move.
And he moves to the Kelly's house!
He moves into a boarding house that Mick's parents own, and he meets one of the other main characters, Biff, who might be my favorite character for obvious reasons, because Biff is very much coded as the equivalent to a closeted trans woman of the day.
Biff is a very interesting character, yeah.
There's
his wife Alice.
She wishes she was born a woman. And McCullers has this really great way of talking around a thing where you get the idea. And I was reflecting on this because I hate it. I have a coworker who talks like this IRL, and I can't fucking stand it because it's always kind of manipulative how she does it.
Right.
But then I like it when writers do that.
Yeah.
I hate when people talk like that in real life because, just tell me what you fucking want.
Right, exactly.
I don't have time or patience for this shenanigans. So he gets a place, and then he goes to a New York cafe, which Biff owns. He gives him a note telling him that he wants pretty much the same sort of meal every day. And the proprietor reads the note and gives him an alert, tactful glance. And then it also talks about, so we get into two, and then it opens up talking about Biff Brannon, the owner of the New York cafe. Okay, so we're now introduced to Biff Brennan, the proprietor, alongside his wife, of the New York Cafe.
Yes.
And he's watching the other, one of the other main characters. He watched especially a short, squat man in overalls who had become drunk and boisterous. And at this part, like, there's an exchange with him and his wife, and he's watching this guy. Well, his wife's upstairs right now. But, like, he senses something of entertaining value in this guy. And he reflects that he's always had a fondness for freaks. And weirdos and outcasts, and talks about how he's giving charity to people with physical disabilities, or like somebody without an eye, he'll just give them a shot for free and stuff. And I feel like the reason he is like this, that he is also secretly a freak, and he feels some sort of resonance with them. At least my take on them. Okay, so him and his wife have an argument. He has the drunkard's suitcase, which we learn is full of books. And that, like, his wife was kind of keeping it as collateral, because this drunkard has been at this place. I guess there's rooms there too, and has run up a huge tab for the last 2 weeks and has not paid it at all. This guy apparently has no money, and she's like, call the cops. And he's like, I don't want to call the cops. Here, and here's the agreement. I told you already, I'll do if you don't get rid of that fellow for good tonight. In daytime, he takes them naps at the back. Oh, not a room, he sleeps in the back. And then at night, you feed him dinners and beer. For a week now, he hasn't paid 1 cent. And all this while talking and carrying on will ruin any decent trade. You don't know people, and you don't know real business, Biff said. The fellow in question first came in here 12 days ago, and he was a stranger in town. The first week, he gave us $20 worth of trade, 20 at minimum, and since then on credit, Alice said. 5 days on credit, and so drunk is it straight to the business. And besides, he's nothing but a bum and a freak. I like freaks, Biff said. I reckon you do. I just reckon you certainly ought to, Mr. Brennan, being as you're one yourself. And we later learn that this married couple have not had sex, and it alludes that they both know why, and it doesn't say why. And they pretty much run this restaurant bar they own, this cafe. They call it a cafe, but it sounds more like a bar restaurant to me.
Right.
Plus convenience store, and is run 24/7. And they do it in shifts, and they have one bed, but they never sleep in it, is what they talk about.
Yeah. I just thought it was really fucking funny, the thing that Biff said about Blunt, when he's like, Biff went to the end of the counter and returned with 2 glasses of drop beer. The drunk picked up his glass so clumsily that beer slopped down on his hands and messed the counter. Biff sipped his portion with careful relish. He regarded Blunt steadily with half-closed eyes. Blunt was not a freak, although when you first saw him he gave you that impression. It was like something was deformed about him. But when you looked at him closely, each part of him was normal, as it ought to be. Therefore, this difference was not in the body, it was probably in the mind, which I think is so, like philosophical, almost.
So, Biff, I like Biff as a character because he's actually kind of the narrator. If there's a narrator, Biff is the narrator of the story, because Biff is the only character that's actively thinking about other characters and analyzing them. Everybody else is focused on themselves.
Right.
Here's a little bit about their married life. He rubbed his bluish chin and paid her no attention. For the first 15 years of their married life, they had called each other just plain Biff and Alice. Then in one of their quarrels, they had been calling each other Mr. or Mrs., and since then, they have never made it up enough to change it. So they haven't even, for 15 fucking years, they haven't called each other by their fucking name.
Which is insane. That's
no,
nuts.
No. Like, for the first 15 years, then, for the first 15 years, we don't know how long they've been married. Let's see, 15 years, where are we? There was... Okay, her voice was tired. That fellow downstairs is a spectacle, all right? And a circus, too. But I'm through putting up with him. Hell, the man don't even mean anything to me. He's no relative or buddy or mine, but you don't know when it is to store up a whole lot of details and then come up to something real. He turned on the hot water and quickly began to shake. It was... Okay, now and this is where they introduce Mr. Jake Blunt. It was the morning of May 15th, yes, that Jake Blunt came in. He had noticed him immediately, him being Biff, and watched. The man was short, with heavy shoulders like beams. He had a small, ragged mustache, and beneath this, his lower lip looked as though he had been stung by a wasp. There were many things about the fellow that seemed contrary. His head was very large and well-shaped, but his neck was soft and slender as a boy's. The mustache looked false, as if it had been stuck there for a costume party and would fall off if he talked too fast. It made him seem almost middle-aged, although his face, with its high, smooth forehead and wide-open eyes, was young. His hands were huge, stained and calloused, and he was dressed in a cheap linen suit. So this guy's wearing a fucking suit. There is something very funny about the man, yet at the same time another feeling would not let you laugh. He ordered a pint of liquor and drank it straight in a half hour, and then at one of the booths, and ate a big chicken dinner. Later he read a book and drank beer. That was the beginning, and although Biff had noticed Blount carefully, he would never have guessed about the crazy things that happened later. Never had he seen a man change so many times in 12 days. Never had he seen a fellow drink so much, stay drunk so long. Biff pushed up the end of his nose with his thumb and shaved it. Oh, I don't read that part. So the suitcase is heavy because it's full of books. He goes back downstairs. Got some details about how Biff's an intelligent person who pays attention to shit. And then in comes Mick.
Yeah.
Biff sensed that someone was standing in the entrance, and he raised his eyes quickly. A gangly, tow-headed, so she's blonde, youngster, a girl of about 12, stood looking in the doorway. She was dressed in khaki shorts, a blue shirt, and tennis shoes, so that at first glance she was like a very young boy. Important point, McCarson dressed androgynously her whole life, and said to a couple of her quiz that she was actually born as a man. Like,
really?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, she mostly, so she had like this really cool, like I've seen some of the pictures of her, she has this really cool fashion sense where she wear like men's suits, but like with short shorts and then like knee socks.
Yeah, I saw some of those photos.
Probably cute as hell, like another reason why I'd fall in love with her, because she's like homely people who are beautiful, like a very young boy. Hello, Mick, been to Girl Scouts? Oh, that almost sounds like a fucking, like, secondhand insult. No, she said, I don't belong to them.
Wow.
Okay, so we introduce Mick. We talk about the Kellys, they're a good-sized family, they own a house. She's buying cigarettes, the cheapest kind. Her words. Biff started to speak, hesitated, and then reached his hand inside the... He's like, I'm sorry, whatever. It's 1939 in Georgia. Of course I'm selling this 12-year-old girl a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah. Reading this book, like, the things that people got away with, I'm just like, wow, that was a good time. We should do that again. Yeah, except for all the reasons it wasn't. Like, it's like... Well, yeah. But, like, the fact that they, like, $20 is a lot of money. We should do that again.
Yeah, but like they also made. I personally think that inflation has made. Oh, okay, this is actually a completely different conversation that we'll go on for a minute about that we should have later. But let's keep talking about this book because we still haven't gone through the first chapter.
Yeah, we need to move forward a little bit.
Yeah, here, help me with that because I'm getting focused on the details.
Okay, so we get Mick's chapter 3, and she goes on a little adventure, which I think I texted you about the adventure. She goes to like this house that's being built.
Yes.
And yeah, and we get her whole thing about like how she wanted to sing all the songs she knew pushed up towards her throat, but there was no sound. Like, she's very much a musical person from the very beginning. And then, she writes on this house, like, Dick Tracy, Mussolini, Edison.
And the worst word she knows. She writes pussy.
She writes pussy. She's like, she wrote a very bad word. Pussy.
I want to draw this scene. There's a couple scenes in this book that I want to like do cartoon style drawings on that, and that's one of them. Like,
right, and then she's got the kids with her, the babies.
She's got baby, and she's got the baby, her baby sibling, and she's got Bubby, her younger brother, who's like 8 years old or something.
Yeah, and they're in this wagon thing that she's dragging around with her, and she goes up on the roof of this house while they're just like hanging out in the wagon, and she feels very invincible. Yeah, so then she goes back down after, she's already written this stuff on the house. And then it goes home. And then we are introduced to the fact that the house is like always full of people because there's a bunch of boarders and visitors. And
they also have black servants.
What?
They have black servants, black people servants.
Oh yeah, like Portia. Yeah, and then she has 2 sisters, Hazel and Etta, and they don't like each other. Hazel and Etta like each other, but they don't like Mick.
Because Mick is boyish and they're very girly girls.
Yeah, and she's like, why do you wear shorts, basically? And Mick is like, I wear shorts because I don't want to wear your old hand-me-downs. I don't want to be like either of you, and I don't want to look like either of you, and I won't. That's why I wear shorts. I'd rather be a boy any day, and I wish I could move in with Bill. Though Bill is like her brother, and he was cool, and then changed after a while.
Puberty, like I always assumed that was like puberty hitting him or something. Like he's like, oh, about my 12-year-old sister.
Yeah, I'm not friends with my little sister.
In this chapter, it describes like that the art that she drew in like a summer like community art program, and it's like the city's on fire and everybody's fighting each other and shit. Like everything's like all her paintings are real violent and crap.
Right.
And then it also comes to the scene with that she's been trying to make a musical instrument, or her siblings are like, you can't just do that. And she feels this point of frustration where she realizes they're right, because she's just been trying to cobble a string instrument for trash and it's not working.
Right. Okay, so later dinner is served. And this was like a point where I think this is like the main section. Did I write it down? Yeah, page 57. That I was like, I like her writing except this part, because there's like a time jump like 3 times where
Yes.
Portia is like filling up Mick's plate, and then suddenly Mick is like leaning over the plate, and then Portia stopped peeling her potatoes, and it's like it's too like she's not finishing the actions that are happening, and I was like, this is like the one time where I'm like, and this doesn't seem to happen in the rest of the book, so I don't know why this particular section is like that, but it was annoying because I was like, okay, so now she's filling up Mick's plate. Okay, so now Mick is filling up her plate. What's happening here? Like, what's going on? But I think it's important on page 61. Let me see what edition this is.
We have different editions.
Yeah, I know. This is Random House, I think. The Random House. The Modern Library, sorry. New York.
Mariner's book, Oprah's Book Club edition.
Yeah, no, so this is reprinted with special arrangement with Houghton Mifflin Company.
That was the original publisher.
Yeah, it's Modern Library, I think. Modern Library, yeah.
That was her publishing company in her lifetime. Was Houghton Mifflin.
Oh, really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this comes to page 61, where Portia says something that I think is really impactful, and, like, I think it's indicative of, like, the point of the book with, like, Copeland and Blunt specifically.
Yes.
And she goes, "But you haven't never loved God, nor even ne'er person. You hard and tough as cowhide, but just the same I knows you. This afternoon you going to roam all over the place without never being satisfied. You going to traipse all around like you has to find something lost. You going to work yourself up with excitement. Your heart going to beat hard enough to kill you because you don't love and don't have peace. And then someday you're going to bust loose and be ruined. Won't nothing help you then?" And then down at the bottom of the thing, maybe when people longed for a thing that bad, the longing made them trust in anything that might give it to them. And, like, I think that that's indicative of these other characters because, like, they are also, like, constantly, like, reading and, like talking and talking and talking. Blunt just is always talking. And they're always talking about, like, what Marx has to say, what, you know, like, the next philosopher has to say. And they're always trying to get people to understand them. And they fail every time. And it drives them crazy. And, like...
So, one second. In the last episode, I talked about how the beheading game made me remind me of the rage that I have.
Right.
And both Blount and Copeland have the rage. They have the rage. That's specifically the same rage that I have.
Right. And, like, Copeland's whole thing where he's like, I'm gonna get, like, I can't remember the number of people, but I'm gonna get like 1 million people to go to me to Washington, and we're gonna storm the Capitol and fight in a protest to, like, end, like, you know, black violence, basically.
Yeah, and, you know, after she died, the Million Man March happened.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Million Man March with like a bunch of black people, like it was like one of the big civil rights movement things that happened, and it happened after she died. But that's when Copeland talks about that. That's what I imagine is the Million Man March.
This is what I'm saying when I say that, like, she was so ahead of her time. Just calling the South fascist, just, like, outright, and being like, you know, this place.
So in the biography, it mentions that she told one of her friends that she thinks that the South is evil in a deep way that like terrifies her.
Yeah.
Like she understood. She fucking saw it firsthand. It's like, and now we're still dealing with those repercussions with the South rising again right now, which is one of the interesting things about reading this book because, and just like Faulkner, the past is never really the past.
Right. It's very present.
We're still dealing with the decisions of people, the powerful people from 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, and then hold on. There's like later. There is this. Yeah, this is Blunt talking, and it says, "That makes no difference. What I'm trying to tell you is plain and simple. The bastards who own these mills are millionaires, while the Doffers and Carters and all the people behind the machines who spin and weave cloth can't hardly make enough to keep their guts quiet. See? So when you walk around the streets and think about it, you see hungry, worn-out people and ricket-legged young'uns. Don't it make you mad? Don't it?"
So this is the interesting thing about Copeland and Blount is that, and the huge argument they have later in the book is that they both like have a similar opinion. They just have different.
This is one of the things, though, right? But like, I think that like one of the major themes of this book is miscommunication.
Right.
Because like they are like literally saying the same thing, and then they're just not hearing each other.
They're not, because they're not listening, and Antonopoulos wasn't listening, like Singer isn't listening, like nobody's listening. The only person who's actually listening to people is Biff.
Right. That's fair.
To backtrack a little bit, back in the first New York cafe scene, when Blount and Copeland are introduced, and Blount brings in like it's like, oh, he brings out like he was drunk and he like got Copeland to follow him into a white cafe, and Copeland gets immediately yelled at, and he's furious at Blount for not fucking understanding. So Blount, even though Blount understands class struggle, he still understands class struggle from a poor white person's perspective, and is not appreciating what the race struggle is also.
Yeah, that's illustrated in their big fight specifically.
And like, again, like Carson must have had so much fucking understanding at such a young age to understand this sort of shit.
Right.
Okay. Where were we?
We were talking about Blunt and Biff, and
we're still in the middle of, like, in the house. Portia's handing her food, and she's making comments about Mick. And Mick, being the young girl, she like is ignoring these comments.
Yeah. But I also felt like I said, it's indicative of like these different characters. Yeah, and then like I also like there's a line where it says I want was all that she could think about, but just what this real want was, she did not know. And like when I'm saying when we think about the title of the book, The Heart is a Lonely Hunter, is like it's seeking something, right? It's looking for something. It's always looking for something. And so I thought that line in particular was like really impactful when I think about the title.
And this is one of the reasons like this book speaks to me in a way that a book has not done before, because like it's that like ever-present yearning, but you don't really know what you're yearning for. You just know that you don't have it yet.
Right. Right, and like
It's like,
I think this is also something that can be applied to Blunt and Copeland, obviously, but in a different way because it's about they're always like seeking a better life for people. Um, but they're also like at odds with one another because they can't see each other's side. Ultimately, their perspectives are warped. And like
right.
so that's
And
one of the things that makes it kind of tragic. And when I think of the title, I think that of it as a tragedy.
I mean, this is a tragedy, but I think I'll get into it later. But like I told you before that I read this one review of it, and the person who read it was clearly a conservative straight person, because he makes some like very coded language and shit. But he's like, "Yeah, this book is just stupid and full of despair." I mean, everything that happens in this book sucks, but but this book isn't about how life sucks. It's about why life can suck.
And that's a
Like,
very blunt thing to say.
yeah. Yeah. And also, I still think there's a note of hope throughout the whole book. Everybody is so emotionally charged, even though they're full of despair, because they have hope. Like,
Yeah, because they want a better life for themselves and other
and
people.
with Blunt and Copeland, this turns into rage.
Right.
And Mick is too young to have rage. With Mick, it ends up turning into acceptance. But it's still the acceptance of a 12-year-old girl, so we can imagine that she would get rage later on in life, too.
Well, no, she gets older. She's older than 12.
She's 13 at the end of the book.
Really?
Or 14. Yeah. It pretty much, like, it's like a year's worth of events.
Oh, okay. Because I genuinely thought she was just getting older. Like, we were going to, like...
Maybe a couple years, I can't count, but, like, she's still, like, a fucking, like, she's still a child by the end of the book.
So, moving forward... Jake Blunt goes home with Singer. And you know, they talk sort of.
This is the first moment that like Singer starts taking like people. I don't. So like Singer's like completely hot. Like all these interactions going forward, Singer like he buys drinks, he has snacks, he has like house guests, and like part of the narration that this is like better, but it's not.
Yeah. Yeah, so then he gets a job as a mechanic at a
Carnival, fucking like just like
carnival, yeah.
Dirtbag carnival. It just pretty much like. So I had to look up some words here. So pretty much there's like some like prizes, like there's like some like games, and then the pretty much the only thing they have is a carousel. They have a carousel. It's like this thing, but it's the only thing in town that's fun. I gotta look this up. So there's two moments in this book where she just tries to just randomly gross things just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
And it's when he goes up to get the job, and there's that dude who's like, he basically has like a bag of melted chocolate, and he's putting his finger in it and just licking the melted chocolate off his finger. You remember that shit?
Yeah. Yeah, that's weird.
And the other gross thing, and at the end of the book, she has another gross thing that involves candy. And I don't know why this stuck out to me, but like, it's such like, the detail doesn't have anything to do with the book, like the story, but it's still part of the story, like.
Right.
unimportant. So he gets a job as a mechanic at like a fucking like 2-bit like carnival sort of thing, and he's still trying to like, oh yeah, wanted experienced mechanic, Sunny Dixie Show, apply, corner Weaves Lane and 15th Street. Hold on a second, I want to read.
And then there's like this line that stuck out to me, and I've like underlined it and like starred it, where Jake is walking back from getting the job, and he says, resentment is the most precious flower of poverty. And I think this leads to that rage thing you were talking about, right?
Again, this connects exactly with me. Like, because I personally grew up around, like, where I grew up, like, there's really rich people and there's really poor people, and they all went to the same school.
Yeah.
And it's like, why should, like, I'm not, like, I had to get the, I had to help support my family when I was a teenager, which ends up happening to Nick. And
right.
I saw, like other people, they just had open doors and big wallets. I didn't have that fucking shit.
Right.
It was good to talk. The sound of his voice gave him pleasure. The tones seemed to echo and hang on the air so that each word sounded twice. So Jake likes to hear himself, like,
he likes to hear himself talk. He's a guy who likes to hear himself talk.
I think, and she does this with Copeland too, is that she's trying to create characters that have ideas that they haven't fully fleshed, but at the same, like,
I feel like they have fully fleshed it, but they're missing key parts. And so that's why when we have the blowout scene with Copeland and Blunt, and they're like, because Copeland has like the Negro perspective. He's like, all these, like, we've gotta band together and do, you know, we've gotta make change specifically for the black man. And then Blunt is focused on his perspective, which is of a poor white man. And, like, he has, like, the capitalistic, he understands capitalism really well. But he doesn't understand the black perspective. He keeps ignoring it, like, repeatedly he ignores it. And there's, like, a, did I mark this? No, did I? It's right before he goes into the room. Yes. Okay, here it is. Marshall Nichols folded and unfolded his silk handkerchief. As we were remarking a while ago, it is important not to impair these amicable relations, but to promote them in all ways earnestly possible. We members of the colored race must strive in all ways to uplift our citizens. The doctor in yonder has strived in every way, but sometimes it has seemed to me like he has not recognized fully enough certain elements of the different races and the situation. Impatiently, Jake gulped down the last swallows of his wine. Christ's sake, man, speak out plain, because I can't understand a thing you say.
The interesting thing about this is that this is something that's specifically pertinent to leftist spaces still today, because, like, there's a lot of leftists that do ignore the racial, like, quality of this, and, like how, like, and, like, how important it is, and there's, like, this is still a conflict that, like, happens in leftist spaces.
Right. Yeah, and I was just like, when I read that, I was like, oh, so he just doesn't, he's actively ignoring the racial aspect of this. And, like, so his view is a half-baked.
It's a half-baked view. And it's implied that Copeland's views are also half-baked.
Yeah, because he's only thinking about the black person. He's only thinking about the black struggle. And, like, one of the weird things that I got with his like entire deal was that he's like, because he has his own whiteness about him.
Right.
Like Mick says she doesn't believe a black man could be a doctor, and like there's like on page 102 there's like where Dr. Copeland isn't, he's not listening to white folk, but like then there it's paralleled by his kids not listening to him and like looking
Yep.
to their mother. And so like there's like this it's like there's this issue where he like doesn't recognize that he is conforming to white ideals on a regular basis. But he's also
like, hey, his kids are basically like, hey, dude, you should be like a little more chill.
yeah, and he's just not chill. He does not know the word chill. He does not know what that means.
Also, he's an atheist vegan, and his children are Christian non-vegan. Like,
well, he's probably not vegan. He's probably vegetarian.
He's a vegetarian. Like, and I thought that was like. I did know that vegetarian, the word and the concept were a thing at this time period, but like specifically, and they never like. I think they just say Copeland like for his own reasons, and like Carson never like elaborates on that. They're just like, oh, this guy's also a vegetarian.
Yeah.
But, like I think we could like say that he felt that way because he's like, well, slavery was a thing, and we shouldn't like force anything on any animal.
Well, that was the thing is like there's still, I did love his line when he was arguing with Blunt, when he was like, but there still needs to be someone to pick the cotton, basically. And I was like, damn.
Yep. And this also represents a very sophisticated understanding of socialist theory on Carson's behalf.
Right. Right. Okay, so what is next? We have yeah, Don't It Make You Mad? Jake's mad. And then this is where he like runs into the three guys where he's like he tries to convince them that
he is overly angry about it.
Yeah. And that this is the thing is like when in their big blowout fight where Jake's like, "Oh, no, like I would just like talk to people." Like it's so dumb.
Neither of you are good at that. Like that's the thing. Like neither of them are good at that. They both have the same.
I do think Copeland's idea was better, but they were both really dumb about it. I bet I'm the only man in this town that's been mad. I'm talking about really mean mad for 10 solid long years. I damn near got in a fight just a little while ago. Sometimes it seems to me like I might even be crazy. I just don't know. That's Jake Blunt, everyone. Everybody is blind, dumb, and blunt-headed, stupid and mean. That's how I feel sometimes. All right.
That's the thing, and I connect with Jake Blunt also because I feel the same thing. And just like, because I don't even try, like, for reasons why Jake Blunt like keeps trying and doesn't succeed. This is something that I've learned. It's like you can't fucking shout at people.
No, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You cannot just try to impose your will onto other people because it is inherently a bad approach. And I think that's actually a really good lesson that Carson teaches us in a way. Is like this is not these are not effective ways of responding to terrible situations. These are not effective approaches. So like, but like also staging the yes, but it's also staging the question like, what is an effective approach? Like, what do we do in these times, in these situations?
He does not give us an answer to that.
Yeah. And like that's why
shows us bad examples.
One of the other themes is truth. And that was page 357. Hold on, let me find it. 357.
What chapter is that in?
It is chapter 12, I think. But, he repeated, those are only the evils you can see and touch. The other things are worse. I'm talking about the way that the truth has been hidden from the people. The things they have been told so they can't see the truth. The poisonous lies, so they aren't allowed to know.
Yeah. So fucking true. That's a mechanic that's still going on right now.
Yeah. Okay, let's continue. Let's go circle back.
Go back.
And do the... We are getting so sidetracked. I'm so sorry. Okay. No, there's just so much. There's so much in this book. Like, there's so much. I have so many sticky notes. This is one of the reasons I didn't finish it, because I was like, oh, that's important. Oh, that's important. Oh, that's important. Like... It's a really good book.
I think we should make this a 2-episode cast.
Yeah, we should try to at least complete this book. I also really enjoy that she sectioned it into parts, because I think that that had a very effective like segmenting of like the various things that are happening. So it's kind of like acts in a play.
I mean, that's specifically what, and Carson McCuller was exposed to like plays and shit. Like, there's a reason you do that. Like, this is a theme of this, and this is a theme of that, and like, these are. If I was smarter, I'd be able to say it better.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so where were we? Do you remember?
We're in the carnival, and he's walking home, and he gets in the fucking fight.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll let you continue with this part.
Okay, so, and now we get into the section that delves into Dr. Benedict. Matey, is it pronounced Maddie or Matey?
Great question.
Oh
my god, I forgot this part where he's like, he asks Blunt, where he's like, are you Democrat or Republican? And he's like,
the thing is that like meant different things than it does now.
Yes, it did. So like a Republican probably would have been more aligned with our views, right?
But he was neither. He like Blunt is a communist, like specifically like I'm a communist, and the communists were a thing, and neither party during that time were trying to tie themselves to that. But Republicans were still the progressive party during this day.
Right. I also really like how she describes being drunk, because I think she's just really good at doing it. Like,
again, she was like, they don't, in the biography it doesn't tell when she first started drinking, but like her whole family were alcoholics, and in the biography they noted that if any of the family members had to travel, they would make sure that family member had alcohol so they wouldn't go through the DTs.
Oh, damn. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's kind of nuts.
Her great-great-grandfather, so McCullers' ancestors were enslavers. Like, she, descended from enslavers who owned people. And the great-great-grandfather who survived the Civil War, 2 of his siblings died fighting for the South.
Damn.
He died from alcoholism when he was 30 years old after the Civil War. And the account that the biographer gives is that his wife just like heard him hollering why he died. Like a
Wow.
loud, undignified death.
That's crazy.
So, like, alcohol was, like, a big part of their life. So, like,
It makes sense
Carson-
why everyone in this book is drinking, but I think that actually it's a kind of like a normal amount in the sense of like what people would have been experiencing in the South at the time.
yeah, I mean, like, historically, people drink way more than we do now, I think.
I think that too, because
But not you or me. You or me drink probably the same amount as anybody back in the day.
yeah.
But
But
other
like,
people.
yeah, no, I think you're right about that. Okay. So,
Chapter 5. This is when the first time we are introduced to Dr. Copeland.
yes, this is Dr. Copeland. Yeah, chapter 5.
And so, we've already talked about it. Chapter 5 introduces Dr. Copeland and that he's an intelligent person and that he has a specific idea how to uplift his people, but they do not agree with him, and he is at conflict with his children. They think he's a fucking grump. Like, he was kind of abusive to his children when they grew up, and their mom took them away, and they grew up elsewhere away from him, and he's been by himself for a minute, but now his daughter is, like, hanging out with him, and his daughter is a maid at the household of Nick.
And he's consistently trying to tell his kids. This is like the theme of the miscommunication that really like starts to pick up here is because like he tries so hard to connect with his kids in like these like kind of esoteric ways.
Right.
Just to try and get these ideas out to them, and it just doesn't work. So, like,
There's a passage about Dr. Copeland that I want to find, because I think it kind of, like, sums up how him and Blount are connected, because it talks about him reading, and he's like,
I do love that he calls it, he names his son Karl Marx.
yeah,
That's what I'm talking about. Like, it's all, Marx is all through this book.
I'm going to read a big passage.
Okay.
Dr. Benedict Mayne Copeland sat in his dark kitchen alone. It was past 9 o'clock, and Sunday bells were silent now. Although the night was very hot, there was a small fire in the round-bellied wooden stove. Dr. Copeland sat close to it, leaning forward in a straight-back kitchen chair, with his head cupped in his long, slender hands. Again, penis hands!
Right.
The red glow from the chinks of the stove shone on his face. In this light, his heavy lips looked almost purple against his black skin, and his gray hair, tight against his skull like a cap's of lamb's wool, took a bluish color also. He sat motionless in this position for a long time. Even his eyes, which stared from behind the silver rims of his spectacles, did not change their thick, somber gaze. Then he cleared his throat harshly and picked up his book from the floor beside his table. All around the room was very dark, and he'd hold the book close to the stove to make out a point. Tonight was Spinoza. Is that how it's pronounced?
Spinoza.
Spinoza?
Yeah, it's Spinoza.
Okay, and here's the portion that I want to, like, where I connect him and Bob. He did not wholly understand the intricate play of ideas and complex phrases, but as he read, he sensed a strong, true purpose behind the words, and he felt that he almost understood.
Right. That's basically like Blunt's whole thing. Is like he feels like he almost understands everything. Because he's been reading for, however long, but he's still an alcoholic who just gets into like spaces and starts talking about random shit that no one understands.
Copeland does not eat meat,
Right.
but like I think Copeland, even though he doesn't understand those words, understands things a little bit better than Blount does.
I think Copeland does for sure. Because I was thinking about that with the March situation. I was like, Blunt doesn't understand how to connect with people at all.
I think one is more angry. They're both angry. They're both like they're the rage. The rage.
The rage. Yeah, no, I agree. I think they're both angry. I just think that Blunt is kind of less smart than Copeland.
Yeah.
Cause like he's like, I don't understand why you would do that. Like you're not even gonna get to Washington, and I'm like, okay, that's a fair criticism, is that they might not get to Washington, but the idea that the march itself is stupid, that's dumb. That's just dumb. Right to protest has always been a thing in America that has been contentious, but like it should be a thing that people are allowed to do.
Every good thing we've gotten out of this country has happened out of protest.
Exactly. And that's why people now trying to condemn other people for protesting horrible fucking bullshit are stupid. They're dumb. But
there's a private conversation I'd like to have you about this, on my thoughts about this.
Okay. We can do that. We can do that.
So Portia comes to Dr. Copeland and she's making herself food. They mention side meat.
Oh yeah, side meat, and that's where we find out that he's a vegetarian.
Mm-hmm. And side meat's basically pork belly. Like
yeah.
Basically. Introducing more of their family and their characters, Highboy and Willie. Oh yeah, Portia, Highboy, and Willie kind of have a fucking trouble situation going on.
Yeah, they kind of do.
Yeah, like one of them is her brother. Is it?
Willie's her brother. He's the one who gets his legs chopped off.
Well, he got fucking picked up by the fucking police.
The popo. Dem popo.
Does she say popo in this?
No, I'm just saying that. Dem popo.
No. My dad taught me. Goddamn. My dad is like somebody that should be leftist, but got fooled by like identity politics.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my dad is sort of intelligent, but he's stupid at the same fucking time.
Oh, that's a lot of parents.
It's like my dad also has a lot of fucking like classist resentment, but I think that's the whole point why they decided to make white people a thing, is so that stupid white people wouldn't be mad about classism.
Yeah, that's fair. That makes sense.
We haven't gotten to the point where like everybody's hanging out with singers. They're still like.
I love that scene where they're all just like hanging out with him, and they're so awkward.
Oh yeah, where was that?
That I didn't write it down. Like I have some notes, but you know, I did not prepare as much as I should have.
Right.
Because
I got excited about reading the biography and I did not reread, and I'm like, I'll just remember it. I'm like, well, that only sort of works. I have to rely on looking at the book to remember it. Also, like, I think going forward, I'm gonna like only use highlighters. I've never highlighted books before.
I think it's a good practice. It's just not great on the book itself, but I think highlighters are helpful.
I'm trying to find a highlighter that like doesn't have too much pigment, but still highlights a thing. Because like sometimes it bleeds through the pages, and I don't like that.
Right. There's a really interesting section on page 245. It is chapter 6. I think of part 2. And it's like, we Negroes want a chance to be free at last, and freedom is the only right to contribute. We want to serve and to share, to labor and in turn consume that which is due to us. But you are the only white man I have ever encountered who realizes this terrible need of my people. You see, Mr. Singer, I got this music in me all the time. I got to be a real musician. Maybe I don't know anything now, but I will when I'm 20. See, Mr. Singer, and then I mean to travel in a foreign country where there's snow. And then let's finish up the bottle. I want a small one, for we were thinking of freedom. That's the word, like a worm in my brain. Yes, no, how much, how little? The word is a signal for piracy and theft and cunning. We'll be free, and the smartest will then be able to enslave the others. But there is another meaning to the word. Of all words, this one is the most dangerous. We who know must be wary. The word makes us feel good. In fact, the word is a great ideal. But it's with this ideal that the spiders spin their ugliest webs for us. And
That's
so
a good prose.
what they're doing is like she's mashing everybody's experiences together. And I just love it. I love it. I think it's great. Bookmark. Have you figured out where we are?
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're kind of failing at the
I think we should. You work tomorrow night, don't you?
I am going someplace else tomorrow night, so I won't be available.
I think we should, at the next convenient moment, do a part 2 for this, but we shouldn't end here. We should just talk about random things we think about this book, and then put that at the end of the end.
So I think we can finish that today. How about we end here and then like we give ourselves an hour and then we come back and catch up on everything that we talked about so that we can, because like tomorrow I won't be here. I'll be elsewhere. So I won't be able to record. But this also gives me time to play with the recording.
Right.
Okay, so one more hour, and then we'll get catched up, and then caught up, caught up, and then we'll just finish the convo.
All right, sounds good.
All right, I love you.
Love you. I'll talk to you in an hour.
Okay, bye.
Bye.